Hello, I'm Romeo, and today I want to talk about life after graduation of university. To those who you don't know, I graduated from a STEM subject, electrical and electronic engineering, in July 30th. Um, Today I just want to talk about kind of the reality of what happened after you graduate from uni. In reality, now in 2026, the job market is really difficult. I would say that there's a lot, especially in my field, there's a lot of jobs, but most of the jobs are quite competitive in the sense that you got multiple stage interviews, one, two, and then there's a lot of people who are applying to the same position, and normally the number of vacancies is one compared to like let's see a part-time job that they offer multiple vacancies. This kind of job offers normally one vacancy per person. So that was the main reason is very difficult right now for you to find a job, I would say. But in my experience, I'm gonna go through. Right now, we are in February 24th of February. So, and I want to talk about my experience of the interview process. I would say that I've been through this largest amount of time since I graduated because it's been maybe more than 6 months, I would say. So, first of all, um, finished my course. Last exam was May the 23rd. Was on that, I think it was May 23rd. And I did my exam. Obviously, was nervous because I'm coming to a new stage of life where now I'm looking for different things. Now looking for a job. Now, obviously, I have to wait until my graduation to get my degree, my everything. But I would say that in the process, before doing a couple of weeks later, a couple of weeks before the exam, I would say, I have an interview with a Spanish company. I'm not gonna say the name. Um, no, Spanish. It's an international company that had like one of the franchise or one of the headquarters, I would say, in Spain. It's a final stage interview. So I sent my cover letter and I sent my CV, and they called me for a final stage interview straight away. No first round, anything. The interview lasted 1 hour, 30 minutes. Quite a long interview. They asked me everything, personality, what you should do in the situation, every question, typical questions, I would say. They also asked me some technical questions. This is something that if you do STEM subject, especially engineering and computer science, you have to spend that they will ask you things from, there's two things that we ask you. Basic stuff from first year, like, I don't know, do the onslaught. Yeah. Also, something I learned is the final year is very useful because then the modules normally take in final year are the ones that are directly related to the subject you do. For example, in my last final year, I took high voltage and communications. Also, the electronics is like everything combined. So it's instead of like doing the basic, we go to more general thing. So thing that we ask you is about electronics in general. They ask you final year questions like how this is, what's the problem, how it is. Not that they're gonna ask you to prove the some mathematical proof, but I'm gonna ask you things that you see in the course. So that are actually related to the things that you did last year because job related, I would say. Um, Going to the same point is that you have to be prepared for, about grades. Okay, you can get a first class, you can get a 2-2, doesn't matter. What's more important is the confidence you have towards the subjects. That could actually mean the grades you get, because if you get a good higher grade, the more confidence you have naturally. But some people don't get the best grade possible, and they still have a very thorough knowledge of the subject. Is that what you have to show in the interview? That's the main thing you have to show. In doing the interview, the Spanish interview was 1 hour 30 minutes. I wasn't really prepared for the technical questions. I would say that one of my feedback I would think of that. That in the moment I wasn't thinking of basic things. Before they asked me some basic stuff like explain why um you got two transformers. One is a high voltage and one is a 300,000 volt, and then which one. So what's the difference between AC and DC, and how I square losses apply to that. I didn't mention that in the interview. That was my problem. I didn't mention the I square losses, only the high the current produced heat. Things I had to mention. I had to show that I'm able to know that basic stuff because it's a graduate job, so you expect to know at least the basics. You don't expect to know everything about every subject because every company is different, I would say. But yeah, I had an interview, did not receive any feedback, did not receive anything, but I assume that normally, sometimes someone told me that they take normally 2 to 3 working days to answer you. If you don't, if they don't answer you in 2 to 3 working days, you either reject it or they either considering for another application, another applicants. But normally, I would say that a big chance, big percentage of the time, is the first option that is okay. They don't want to say okay, you got rejected. Okay, that was May. Um, June, July. I have an interview in a company. I can't remember the name, but the company what they do is that it was a graduate placement. So what they did is like so the rails. So you take a train and this like you go the railway, you know. So what they do is that they specialize on the soldering part of the rails. So it's a chemical process that you develop. They do a chemical process and they have a quite solid joint between the rails. So obviously you have massive rails at 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. So they only specialize on the soldering of the rails. It's nothing related to electrical, more chemical engineering, I would say. But what they want is that they were testing the failure point of the rail system. In the failure point of the rail system, so what they do is that okay, they have a piston. The piston pushes the rail, and they have depending on how. So they have a thing that measures the piston produces some pressure. They have a thing that measures the force. So and they now they kind of know they have so the piston produces pressure. Force is divided by pressure is equals to force divided by area. So that means you times area both sides. You get force is equals to area times pressure, and they know the area of the piston, they know the pressure they put in, and then when they break, so they have some system that tells you when they break, so they push the piston into the rail, into the joint, I would say, and then when they break, they go they measure the force that breaks. So the main problem they have is quite complicated. It took me like a couple of minutes to explain. Is that the calibration system they got wasn't accurate. Like they got a very old electronic device that they didn't give the correct signal when the other companies came for, to test the device to do the calibration testing. So other company it's upside down. They're going to they're going to do the safety check if it's good enough because obviously it is a multi-million dollar company and it put risk of thousands of people's life, thousands of millions of people's life are in risk if the pressure is doesn't meet the standards they want. So one electrical engineer, okay, so they got the calibration system, they got the machine, and they want a graduate student, a graduate person, uh, to design or suggest a new idea to make sure that specific system is working now. So okay, I did my first stage. They just explained me that the whole thing I explained you. I was in living. I graduated from University of Brighton. By the way, I forgot to say that. I was living in Brighton. I was still in my final year accommodation, house, I would say. So, okay, I passed the first stage. They like me. They like me because I understand the problem. They believe I can go there, and they sent me a to go to the place a couple of weeks later for a final stage interview. I went to I live in London, so I stayed in my parents' house for a couple of days. Then I had the interview. I remember it was Thursday, I think. When I had the interview, um, I did. I went there. I mean, the place is quite far away. It's like it's almost Kent. It's not. It's like North London, Kent, or something like that. And I would say that when I went to the interview, I I think it went well. Was I was correct. I was talking about with them, talking about the problem. The only issue that in my mind, because that was 1 week before the graduation week. So my graduation was next week. My family was gonna come here. Our family in Spain, so I'm gonna come here to see my graduation. I also was still the university mentality. So I was still like, okay, I can tell I still have contact with the university because the problem they go is very mechanical based. No, and I tell them, okay, I know how to solve the problem, but I might need to talk to people who do mechanical to understand this thing and a specific problem and get a team of people who can help me to do this. And I cannot emphasize too much the fact that I will ask for someone else's help. They're showing the confidence that I can do the problem myself. In reality, I can't even do that myself. It's very complicated. But I should have lied or bluff in the sense of I need to show that okay, I can do this problem, so I get hired, and because at the end of the day, you wanna get money, you wanna graduate also if week before graduation. So imagine you just come out of your graduation, and the other week you start working, and it didn't went well in the sense of like I didn't show the confidence I can solve the problem. So okay, I did the interview on Thursday. On Monday, I received a call and I said, oh, experience enough for this kind of position. That hit me very hard because it's a final stage interview, and every final stage is like you have the confidence. Okay, you already got it because what's the problem? Yeah, already they invite me to the place. Even my parents got very excited about it, but I didn't get it at the end. So another mission failed, I would say, but nothing failed, I would say. I just talking about my feedback today. Um, second, okay, July, June, 2 weeks, and then July. Then I moved to my house, back to my house August, where I am now, in my parents' house. Um, one of the things I say is that I had to pay money for I didn't have money to pay my last month of rent, so I had to use the deposit to pay that, and I had to work some extra hours to get some money back, or also borrow money from other people, so I can pay and then pay it back when I receive the money. So kind of I didn't focus too much on applications. I was doing focus more on getting a sort of part-time job, I would say. I was doing working a bar for like a month and a half. That's the thing I was doing, but also was keeping my applications open. During the that process, while working in the bar, I received so normally apply around you have to apply around 100 to 200 interviews a month, applications a month. I would say this is a rough number. Normally, I recommend email the company. Indeed is quite useful for that. Also, I'm gonna say that okay, I had the interview with a defense company. First stage, I say there was a point where applying too much, I didn't get any other graduate interview. So I decided to apply. Okay, let's apply for something below engineering. Let's apply for like a technician role, like because I believe I can do technician. I can have abilities, have skills of soldering, of course, because through my engineering degree, I'm very efficient soldering, efficient in computer, really schematics. I understand why schematics and everything related to the circuit. So I decided to have a go at technician roles. And then there was a company of a very good salary for a technician role, was like 32K, and they offered me an interview. I went there, I talking about my experience, everything. It was obviously there's a point where like after graduation I was really broke. So obviously I had the pressure that I don't have money. So that's something that you have to control after you graduate. Something you don't have money, so you make sure you have to get a graduate job. So the pressure of the interviews doesn't affect you too much because that's a quite big factor. Everything influence. You have to maximize the chances for you getting a graduate interview. I would say. Okay, so the technical interview that I have, it was really so the technician interview. Technician role was okay. I did the interview. We talked for like 10 minutes. Okay, what you do? Basic question. You know any programming language? Okay, I know this, I know that. And I said, okay, you're gonna do a trade test. Okay, they give me a board. I I soldered two resistors, um, a triple wire, um, what else did I do? Triple wire, so a resistor, and that's it. And they say, okay, I noticed that you solder like an engineer in the sense of like you focus on prototypes instead of focusing on following the ICS standards. They notice that and I say, oh, it's okay. I mean, it would take me nothing just to get the training and do it to the standards. It's not something that's really difficult to do. And I say, okay, so they asked me something very important. They said something to me very important. One of the technicians say, okay, I saw you degree, I saw your CV. You have experience in programming, experience in designing. Your degree look like more like a design test engineering instead of being a technician. If you have the capability of being a test engineer, what you're applying for a technician role? I'll say something. Okay, I want to get experience. I want to get into the business. This is the main thing I want to do. This is the when I get into the business, you graduate, and I believe that this company will offer me a good opportunity. That's what I said to them. Um, I went to that. Also, I mentioned that I know how to use oscilloscopes, and if you I'm open to do another things like test engineering, and if you ask me for that, okay, I had the interview. They called me like the week after. I got a a message. They say that okay, we're gonna reject you because we're not gonna go through the second stage because we don't have people now to train you. Simple. The ones in my opinion, what I recognize they were doing with this specific role is that they want you to do some experiment of what's better, someone who graduated from university or someone who if been working for a technician for many years. What kind of people give me the best value? That's what we're looking for mainly. Probably in the moment you want someone who experienced as a technician rather than someone who graduate because the graduate person will be only more open to learn, but you want a technician. Okay, got that interview just July, August, September. That was middle of September, I would say. I failed the interview. They say, okay, you don't have people to train. You did very well, We felt like you came across really well as a really good person. But I believe you don't have the training right now. Okay. So another interview. What about 2 weeks later? They call me for another role, test engineering. Um, I did a test engineering interview. It was I was so lucky in the sense that I don't know what happened. The and normally the things that I was doing Microsoft Teams, I still had my university email, but I think they took out my university email. And I was doing a lot of interviews. I did it with that, and then when I changed, they didn't let me when I access to the interview team. It didn't let me get the interview. It didn't let me put my camera on. It was prohibited. I don't know why. I don't know what happened today. So I had the online interview without camera. And also, I didn't practice any math or any basic stuff for like the last, I don't know, say 8 months. And they asked me all first year engineering questions. I don't know why. They told me, okay, they're going to ask you basic stuff, A-level questions. I practiced some of them, the multiple of them, beforehand. But they told me that in the same day. And then when I did the interview, I don't know why I got nervous. I couldn't solve basic questions. They asked me to calculate the output voltage in the differential divider. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I don't know what happened. I couldn't do basic stuff. I was like so confused. And then it went so bad. I think it was interview done, in my opinion. However, was yeah, the person was really serious, I would say. You know this when someone is really serious, and it didn't work out, and then they they reject me. They already, I know I'm gonna reject you because the interview was awful. So had that one, and in that point, I decided to think. I decided to step and think. It was October, it was 1 week before Halloween. No, yeah, a couple of days before Halloween. I did decide to think about my life or something like what can I do to improve. I need to study the basics again. I need to make sure not study the basics, but make sure I can show it. I can show my understanding to other people because there's no point that you know that the things are not able to show it to other people, especially in an interview setting. So I start practicing some interviews with my cousin. I went to like university things and I missed some questions. I started doing it like it was an interview. I did a couple of them, like 10, 20, I can't remember. It was October. I didn't know November. I did not have any interviews because I was focusing on that. However, I would say that I was improving myself. Then I started applying like seriously, like talking about 200 applications. Probably I did like 50 or 60 in November. So nothing related. I believe myself if I can. If I put a lot of effort, I think that's the same. If you put a lot of effort, you really want it, you can get an interview in a week. But you have to put insane amount of effort. Depends on the or what extent degree do you do. So I had my final state. I had my December went by. Um, I have I got an interview in a job that those are like water and water movement or something like that. Electrical engineering, but it's related to water. Uh, I'm gonna be honest. The interview with Sohando was like a normal talk. I did ask a lot of questions. It went well, in my opinion. But they sent me. It took them more than a week to answer me this time, and they say, "Oh, it was a difficult process, but we decided to not go for to shortlist you for the second stage. So interviews are handled. Day before, my mom go lay off her job, so the pressure I have to get a job now is to the roof. Because I imagine I just been all these months I was really I was doing also was doing the cleaning, but at some point they stopped calling me. It's like a 0 hour contract, and then stop calling me. I don't know, just get rid of stuff. And then at a point where like I don't even have part-time job, I'm broke. So the money that I got from the job is running off. Now it's December 24. Imagine me, imagine you 25th of December, um, applying for jobs because you need to get also apply for increase and apply for some marketing business roles. And I got a couple of interviews. I did one, a marketing interview was so easy, but the problem is that I didn't have a plan. I would say that because I was saying engineering. A lot of business people they say, "Oh, if you do engineering, why are you applying for a business role?" So you have to have a plan for that specific scenario. If you want to go into business or finance, you're an engineer person and you stay up. So think about okay, if you're a computer scientist, sorry. So well, what you want to do business? What you want to do finance? What you want to go to marketing? You just have to have a plan. To care about how your skills are transferable. I don't know, man. You can waffle. You can do anything. So that was December. Still without a job. January. Early January, I get call from a place in Wales. Very good company, electrical engineering as well. Very similar to the one talking about the French one in London. Got the interview, first stage interview. Um, I was in Spain when they first called me, so I had to come back quickly. And as soon as I went, it was 10th of January, so it was like a week afterwards, or the 14th or 17th, I can't remember. So what actually this time I was preparing a lot because now I had experience. Now I had experience of I've seen all these kind of companies, so now I have experience of whatever comes to throw me. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I had the interview. My internet was very bad or lucky. I don't know. My internet wasn't running very well. I did answer all the questions because I was preparing every question. For example, if you ask me a technical question, say, "Oh, why is AC better than DC?" or explain the process to AC to DC. I know how to explain it. I know how to explain it easier and concise. Before I know how to explain it because of university, but I didn't have a plan how to say it concise and with confidence. They also explain me, okay, what the kind of impulse to do in this specific circuit. They show me a circuit, okay, what are the input, what kind of responses, okay, square wave. They show me, this specific part, what does it mean, it's this part, and I explain that. My opinion, there's a point where, it was a point where I give up, man, you didn't, I forgot how many interviews I mentioned so far, I can't remember, 7 or 6. You're at a point where, like, you don't care, okay, you're gonna, if he rejects you, it is what it is, you know? You do something else. A point where, like, and 3 days afterward, they say, we really like you. We want to consider for a second stage interview in the place. And it was like, oh, really? Me? I'm like, why? Okay, so they give me the date. Like 2 weeks later, they give me the date. Okay, I have this date. You're gonna travel to Wales. You're gonna travel to this place. Get here this time. I had to borrow money because the travel to Wales is like very expensive. So you have money. I believe they can pay me back. I don't know. Also, in the meantime, I saw a company very close to where I am, but the job was software engineering integration. Had an interview, and the week after I had a Wells interview. So I had to like a backup plan. The job in Kuzo, I don't know what happened. I did really well, but they say, okay, we find candidates that are more capable of have more software knowledge than you. Maybe they want someone who is more software engineer. I'm not really good software engineer. I'm more related to hardware, I would say. But and then I had my second stage with this place. I went to Wales, 5 hours train, 5 hours back, just to be there for like an hour. So hopefully I get that job. Otherwise, it's gonna continue doing the same thing and probably I get I need a part-time job, like no, not a part-time job, something that can help me to at least pay rent or something. Because my parents are getting angry. Everyone is getting angry at me because in their eyes, I is unemployed guy should stay at home the whole day. So the conclusion of the story is that either if I get the interview or not, um, if I get the place or not, life after university, it's like the movie Pursuit of Happiness. If you know, if you watch it, it's a movie about a guy who got a really rough marriage, and then he's selling some electronic stuff, and then the business run out. He didn't making enough money, so he had to find something else. While his family was, while his wife was struggling, the relationship was struggling. And then his wife ended up leaving him, working in a restaurant, and then he stayed with his son. And the movie is about him getting the process of happiness in the sense of being wealthy and being stable, have a stable life, getting a job, and then you see all the process of him getting the job or him working in the trading company. So he went to a trading company. He became an investor later, a stockbroker, and then he only had a son who really innocent. He had to work for his son and get everything, but he had the the dream of becoming successful. What is that related to life after uni? You in university, you're working towards a qualification, but when you graduate, you are working towards the pursuit of happiness in the sense of you have a dream now. You have a realistic dream because you had a degree. You want to pursue the dream. You want to take the risk and keep going because that's the most important thing. Keep going and pursue the dream because a lot of people give up and they find a job, they find a job in a warehouse, um, Lidl, like sales assistant, and they don't want to take the risk to find something bigger than that. And I have nothing against them, but in this job market, where especially in UK, when you have to work 150, 200 hours to get 2,000 pounds, where the rent, average rent for one bedroom house is 1,200 in London, you obviously want to get something better than that. You have to follow the dreams of being better than the job that you already have, you know. So I believe that this is the harsh reality of when you graduate. For example, being 7 months, no job. However, I have a dream of I want to pursue it. I want to be better. And I believe that anyone can use this message as a reality check of how it is. Because my situation is different. No one's gonna help you. That's the reality. No one's gonna help you. And also, there's some people who are more lucky than you. Like more lucky or they put more effort than you. Some people they probably have one of the interviews I mentioned. They got the job. They went to the same stage. They went to the same interview, but they got a job and I didn't get it. I'm gonna get angry at them? No. probably that person was more prepared, yes. And it's all about that. It's all about competition. It's about passion. That's the main thing. And hopefully this message will help you. Hopefully the sound is really good because I'm using these headphones. So I thank you for everything. A long video, so.